I don't have to tell you that this job is scary. I don't have to tell you that this job is dangerous. I don't have to tell you about all the things that have been asked and required of you this far. You've made it this far. I joked with a couple of you the other day. Don't be scared about hell night. It's just another night. You made it this far. Don't quit now. You're here. You're fixing to be given your company assignments here shortly. The family that you never asked for. Which can be a good or a bad thing, but whether you like it or not, they're going to be yours and you're going to be theirs. Every time that there's a job posting for this city, there's an outlined list of job requirements, performance measures and skills that you're supposed to be able to possess and perform in order to do this job. Something that it never lists is race, creed, religion, how tall, how short you are, or what you look like, because none of that ever mattered. None of that ever tells me how good or how capable you are you're doing this job. And the thing that's not seen or unspoken is there's a hidden, wanted ad behind every job application that's served. I'm going to give you a list of 10 things, and I'm going to try to give it to you in brevity and not be long-winded, so hang tight. There's 10 characteristics that can take you from being a good fireman to being a great fireman. I'm speaking to and for myself. I'm speaking to and for the chief of this department, all the way down to the newest recruit. This applies to everybody, myself included. So hang on, here we go. Number 1, the wanted man is something that's part of that poster that you're not aware of. You know what you're supposed to do and you've been given the skills thus far. But there's something else that's going to give you a buy-in with that family that you were given. Number 1, the man who sets the example by action and not only by word. That do as I say and not as I do guy. Someday, maybe soon, maybe later, you're going to find yourself in a leadership position. If you're that guy that's going to say, do as I say and not as I do, how well of a following do you think you're going to have? How much of a buy-in do you think you're going to get from the guys that are going to be entrusted to you in the future? Don't be that guy. Number 2, the man who has a passion to help rather than to be helped. I'm not saying whenever a hand is offered that you refuse it. I'm saying that you keep the needs of others in mind at all times. You seek who you can be a relief to. Now, one of the number 1 questions that's always asked in an interview is, well, why did you want to be a firefighter? 9 times out of 10, or a majority of the time, it's always because I want to help people or because I like helping people. If that's the foreground of your mind and your thought processes, bear them in mind 24/7, 365. Not just when you're on duty, but when you're off duty, because you never know when you're going to be able to be of somebody else's aid and relief. Number 3, the man who's willing to say, I was wrong, I'm sorry. No one likes a narcissist. The guy who says, I'm not always right, but I'm never wrong. It takes real guts, whenever truth is staring you in the face, to humble yourself down and exercise a little bit of humility and say, you know what? I was wrong. I'm sorry. We'll try something different next time. I'll try to be better. We'll try to be better. Instead of letting your pride getting in the way between you and your company, between you and progress. Number 4, the man who always gives credit to those who helped him. Again, exercising humility and boasting not for your own accomplishments. No matter what the task is, you can take 5 minutes to survey what it was and think and find at least one person to credit for helping you get to where you were. Whether it's on the fire ground, out at work, out of work, wherever, it doesn't matter. The task that you get credit for, you can take 5 minutes to think about and give credit to one other person for helping you get to where you were or accomplish that thing. Number 5, one of my favorites. The man who always offers a smile and a pat on the back to others. Saying that, there's many of you in this room that don't have to take more than a couple seconds to think of that one guy in this department who's always got a beautiful smile on his face, a hand offered for a handshake, and a pat on your back. Every morning you walk in the door, he's smiling, wanting to know how your day's going. How's the family? How's the kids? I got stuff I gotta do, but I'm curious. I'm gonna spend at least 60 seconds to wonder how you're doing to make sure you're okay before we go on duty. That makes the division between home life and work life. That's a hard task. Whenever stress is weighing you down walking through the door and you can't think about anything else and it's hindering your job performance, those that can separate that at the bay door before they come on duty and pick it back up and take it with them when they go home, that's a task that takes work. All of these things that I'm listing are going to be hard. Some may come easier than others, but every last one of them are going to be hard. Number 6, the man who offers solutions instead of complaining about the problems. If we're sitting at the table of problem solving, solution finding, and the best thing you have to offer is complaining about the solutions that are being offered, or complaining about more things that are wrong, please excuse yourself. You are part of the problem. Number 7, the man who sees faults, this is a big one, the man who sees faults in himself before he sees faults in others. Don't destroy the brotherhood by highlighting problems in other people. When you can take a few minutes to analyze yourself before you pick apart somebody else, look inside yourself. You may find yourself staring at a mirror more often than not. The same problems that you're highlighting in somebody else are fallacies within yourself. Number 8, the man who always gives without the thought of return, who offers a hand and not an excuse, always willing to go out of their way to help. If you haven't paid attention, many of these are intertwining with each other like shoestrings. Whenever you have an opportunity to get praised for something, finding credit for somebody else or with somebody else, you don't do these acts, these actions, these incidents. You don't take care of these problems. You don't do these things for credit. You don't do them to get praised from somebody else. You don't do them to get your picture in the paper, and you don't do them to get an attaboy on a weekly email. You do it because number 1, it's your job. And number 2, further back up the list, because you had a sincere desire to help somebody else or to help do something else. Your ulterior motives deplete every bit of the value out of an act whenever they're hindered or circumvented by your own selfish motives. Again, don't be that guy. Number 9, the man who is true to his word when nothing else will do. Honesty, circumscribed with integrity, be reliable. The number 1 thing that'll cost you your job in this profession is lying. Honesty had better be your watchword. Take honesty, integrity, and hide those words in your heart and act on them every day. And lastly, number 10, the man who is resilient and can bounce back from anything. Never quit. Never accept defeat. When you decided to be a firefighter, when you stepped into this door, and shortly when you come on duty as an independent operating recruit on a company, you surrendered the privilege of giving up and quitting and accepting failure as a reasonable outcome. You can't quit. You can't give up. Failure is not an option. That's not part of your algorithm. I hate to bust your bubble, but it's not. When you quit, when you give up, people die. People get critically injured. Nobody, and by nobody, I mean nobody in this department is sitting back in their chairs, here and abroad, or when you meet them, waiting and wishing for you to fail. We are a single unit. We cannot afford to fail. Our success is dependent on every cog in this machine to work. Whether how big or how small you think your part is right now, it's a big part. You play an active role. We can't afford for you to fail. You have to bring 100% of your effort to work every day. And that's difficult. Like I mentioned earlier, whenever you have the stresses of life, previous calls, whatever else it may be weighing heavily on your mind, you have to learn to separate. When problems you encounter, that's what your immediate family's for. I mean your firehouse family is for. You troubleshoot these problems. You confide in each other. Don't hide it. Don't think that you can suck it up and deal with it, because that's not how this works. I'll finish up with this and then I'm done. Not so bad, huh? JFK said, "We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and our skills. Because the challenge is one that we are willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one which we intend to win, and others too." Your accomplishments tonight, this far, finishing your recruit school, should not be minimized. But don't let it go to your head. This is but one small step in the marathon of your career. For those that don't know, a marathon's 26.2 miles. One step don't seem like much, but you'll never finish any race you never start. We need you. Bring your A game. There's a whole lot of work to do, and for those that don't know, 30 years is a long time. A lot can happen in one day, let alone 30 years. As I said, we have work to do. Recruit Class 20-1, gear up, it's go time, baby.